Wednesday morning at 11:05. It's Dom Giordano's Pop Quiz Celebrity Deathmatch. Only on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Talk that's worth your time. Michael Smerconish.
I think any gun owner in the country is going to want to hear this next story, and it comes from my hometown here in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Daily News front cover has a photograph of Mark Fiorino, and he has a registered firearm on his belt loop, and the headline says, "Clash and Carry. His gun was legal. His encounter with cops was ugly, and it's on YouTube." As a matter of fact, we posted it at Smerconish.com so that you can easily follow this story. David Gambacorta wrote it. Here's the lead. Mark Fiorino's story has three elements that tend to get people worked up: gun rights, Philly police, and YouTube. On a mild February afternoon, Fiorino, who's 25, decided to walk to an auto zone on Frankfort Avenue in northeast Philadelphia with the .40 caliber Glock he legally owns holstered in plain view on his left hip. His stroll ended when someone called out from behind, "Yo, Junior, what are you doing?" Fiorino wheeled and saw Sergeant Michael Doherty aiming a handgun at him. Mr. Fiorino recorded, audio-wise, the incident. The beginning of it sounds like this.
Junior! Excuse me, why are you pointing your gun at me, officer? Why are you pointing your gun at me, officer? Sir, you're threatening me with lethal force. You're pointing a weapon at me.
I don't know who you are. You got a gun?
Would you like to see my license to carry firearms and my driver's license?
I got a guy with a gun on him. He's giving me a little trouble. I'm at Frankfurt Plaza, right here. All right,
right here, sir. I'm going to hand you my license to carry firearms.
All right, keep your hand right where it's at. Dude,
Okay.
I'm not telling you. I don't know who you are.
All right.
Get down on your knees.
Excuse me?
Get down on your knees. Just obey what I'm saying.
Sir, I'm more than happy to stand
I'm
here.
going to shoot you.
I am more than
Tell me
happy.
right now.
You get a feel for it? The officer says, if you make a move, I'm going to shoot you. Mr. Fiorino explaining his right to carry the weapon. As a matter of fact, it seems as if police in this case didn't know that a person who has a license to carry a firearm can openly carry in the city. We have restrictive gun laws in Philadelphia. Things get even uglier. I want you, before I welcome my special guest, to just hear a little bit more.
That's another issue, I guess. When a cop tells you to show him your hands, you show him your hands. That's how you lose your license.
That's how you lose your license.
Sir. I had my hands out.
No, you
sir.
didn't. You had your hands in your pocket.
I had my hands out and clearly visible at all times.
I told you, get on your knees. You say, why am I have to get on my knees? I'm being disrespectful to you.
What the hell is that?
And that's against the law.
It's against
I did it on purpose.
I'm in public, and I'm speaking with public officers acting in their public duty.
That's what the you're doing.
You hear what the police officer just said? He set us the F up. That's what the F he did. This is Mark Fiorino. Hey, Mark, I really appreciate you being here to tell your story. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on, Michael. Appreciate your time.
Did you set them the F up?
No, I did not set them the F up. I carry a voice recorder while I'm openly carrying my firearm. Actually, anytime I carry my firearm, even if I'm concealing, to protect myself in case of, well, something like this happening. This is exactly, the justification in my mind for carrying a voice recorder.
So you were carrying a .40 caliber Glock. You were doing so openly, and it would appear within the bounds of the law.
Exactly. There is a statute under Title 18 says that you need to have a license to carry firearms as issued by Pennsylvania or a reciprocal state in order to carry a gun on the public streets of Philadelphia. Now, it does not say that you have to carry concealed. It doesn't say that open carry is illegal. It simply says in order to carry, you need to have the license. By having a license, it then makes open carry and concealed carry legal. But that is the stipulation. You do need to have that LTCF.
So, Mark, help me understand the sequence here. You're walking along. It's a warm February day, or I should say a day that was warm for February. So the weapon is exposed, whereas had you been wearing a jacket, it would not have been. And in your shirt pocket, you are carrying what?
On my left hip would be the holster with the firearm, and then in my shirt pocket, I also have my voice recorder. Now, I've had a lot of people say, well, if he's recording everywhere he goes, he's paranoid, he's insane, he must be trying to set people up. You know, it really doesn't have anything to do with that. I carry a voice recorder, like I said, just as a matter of course all the time. I actually have one on me now. It's not recording, just so you know. But I have found through previous incidents with the Philadelphia police that they either don't know the law or simply don't care. It has been my experience. So on this particular day, I, on a whim, decided to just let it record as I was out in public, figuring if nothing happens, which is what I hope for every day, I just want to be left alone, I'll go home and delete the long recording of my walk to the store.
And that was really my question, because what I was left wondering after I read the story and after I listened to the YouTube audio is I wondered how you pushed the record button, but it sounds as if even before the encounter began, you had touched record.
Yes, like I said, I've had previous run-ins with the Philadelphia police, and as a result of those, I felt it would be a good idea to just turn it on innocently, just leave it on. If nothing happens, nothing happens. That's the way we like it to go. And if I don't have an opportunity to hit the button, I don't have to worry about it. Now, if I didn't have it running at the time, this same incident would have occurred. It wouldn't have changed anything, except if I would have tried to reach for something in my pocket, I really hate to think what would have happened. He already had his gun trained on my chest.
Did you see him before he saw you, or vice versa?
No, as I was walking along on the sidewalk, I did notice that there was a police cruiser, but I wasn't doing anything wrong. He hadn't gotten my attention. I wasn't going to turn around and acknowledge him. I was just hoping to be left to go on my way. Or if he wanted to stop and say, "Excuse me, sir, can I see your license to carry firearms?" I'd say certainly and pull it out of my pocket from behind my recorder.
When you heard someone say, "Yo, Junior, what are you doing?" did you know that was a police officer?
Because I had seen the cruiser out of the corner of my eye from a few moments prior, I was pretty certain that it was.
Was he behind you?
Yes, he was behind me on the left side.
All right, so you now turn upon hearing, "Yo, Junior, what are you doing?" That's when you say, I guess inquisitively, "Junior." He says, "Let me see your hands." Where were your hands at the time?
My thumbs were hooked into the front pockets of my jeans, but my hands were otherwise clearly visible.
Yeah, I got to tell you, you're darn lucky, because a sudden move in that circumstance, you could have lost your life.
I think that's a real shame, actually. You know, I agree. I do think that there is a certain amount of luck involved, but if I have to be lucky to do everything in accordance to the law and then get away with it without being killed, I really think we're in a sad state of affairs if that's the case.
All right, well, what is the message that you were trying to send, if any, by open carry?
Honestly, I don't try to send a message by open carry. It's simply carrying unconcealed is just my preferred mode of carrying my firearm, simply by virtue of the fact that it's most comfortable for me.
Have you been a victim of crime in the past?
I personally have not, with the exception of one instance when I was very young. My house was broken into in northeast Philadelphia, and I have had a number of friends and a couple family members who have been victimized violently over the past several years. So I thought it would be a very good idea for me to take my responsibility for self-defense more seriously.
So you were told to get down on your knees. I take it from listening to the YouTube, and obviously I can't watch, but I can hear that you did do that. And then it seems as if backups were called for and they arrived, and then there was a scene where they didn't know what to do with you, and ultimately after about 40 minutes they let you go.
That's the long and short of it.
And now you have been charged, however, with reckless endangerment and disorderly conduct because, according to a spokesperson for the DA's office, you refused to cooperate with police.
It's a combination of things. From what I understand, first of all, the charges were not – this whole incident, they didn't begin investigating into it as far as charges are concerned until approximately 5 days after the audio went on YouTube.
Right.
So then I find out that there's a warrant out for my arrest. They came to my work. I wasn't there. I end up having to turn myself in the next day, and come to find out that the charges, reckless endangerment, is because they think I'm intentionally trying to set them up and therefore causing them to overreact, or at least this is my understanding, is causing them to create a danger for myself, the officers, and the public around me during situations such as this one.
What would you say to a critic who opines that the position of law enforcement with you is completely understandable given how they put themselves on the line and the crime rate that's currently in the city of Philadelphia? It's a very dangerous job, and they've got to move cautiously when they see someone in an open carry posture.
I feel that drawing a firearm on anybody that you know is armed is painting the entire populace of the city with a very broad brush. Here's someone who's walking with a button-down white shirt, nice shoes, with a gun in a holster, minding their business, walking along the street. I don't think that there's any reasonable person, personally, in my opinion, that would identify that as a threat that would require you to immediately jump out of your car and point your gun at their chest and tell them that if they move, you're going to effing shoot them.
And he pulled that gun at the time that he was saying to you, "Yo, Junior, what are you doing?"
Because I didn't see him as he was getting out of his vehicle, I can't say. But what I can say is that as I turned around to ask him, you know, what is it? What do you need? What can I do for you? The gun was already pointed at me, and he was bladed between the door of his vehicle and the driver's compartment.
In other words, what I want to make clear from my questioning of you is that you believe the gun was pulled on you not because you made any kind of a movement toward your weapon, but rather simply because you had the weapon on your person.
Exactly, Michael. I believe that in the moment, the officer, the reasoning, obviously, I cannot speculate, but he felt that I was such a threat to him that he wanted to have his service weapon pointed at my chest before I even had a chance to turn around and see him.
Mark, I can remember, I'm not surprised about the confusion relative to the open carry law, because I remember the difficulty that I had by now 15 years ago in getting a permit in Philadelphia to carry a weapon. Philadelphia has always been so restrictive, and having lived in this area my entire life, I don't remember seeing anybody in an open carry scenario at all. I just can't. Then again, I'm a talk radio host. I'm not in law enforcement, and I guess one thing that you've revealed is confusion among police, or at least certain police, about the state of the law.
Well, Lieutenant Lisa King is actually the head of the gun permits unit in Philadelphia, and she told me more or less to my face on Saturday afternoon that until this issue came to light, she was unaware in the past 7 or 8 years of running the gun permit unit that open carry was legal in and of itself. She was just operating under the assumption that you need to conceal your firearm even if you have a license to carry while you're in the city.
All right. Well, I already asked you if you were looking to set anybody up, and you said no, and I asked whether you were trying to send a message, and you said no, but I think one of the outcomes of this case is increased clarity relative to open carry laws, at least in our state and in our city.
Absolutely, Michael. It's not like we're talking about a law that's along the lines of how many feet away from a stop sign can you park when you park on the street. These are gun laws. These are really important. We're talking about tools that can cause lethal harm to another human being, that can end someone's life. Not understanding these laws and how they work and all the nuances of the various restrictions and how Title 18 works when you're in the city versus out of the city, how the license works and what restrictions are on gun owners, that's really important to understand that. And if you don't understand that, as a police officer who is tasked with upholding and enforcing the law, might I add, we have a serious problem because that puts people's lives in danger.
Mark Fiorino, thank you so much for telling your story to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time. You have a great day.
All right. I'd love to have people weigh in on this. I think you get it. I think you understand what happened. It has relevance to open carry all across the country. Call me immediately at this toll-free number, 877-434-1776, 877-434-1776. Guy walking along, he says minding his own business. He's got his registered handgun right in a holster on his left hip. Police officer, they see him. They're not accustomed to this. There's confusion, obviously, in the mind of the police officer as to whether this is permissible conduct. You heard the exchange because this man was recording it, which is causing some people to say, including the cops, that the whole thing was a setup. Hey, Junior, yo, Junior, what are you doing? and then he's next told to get on his knees and so on and so. What do you make of it? What was going on here? Yes, Greg, quick comment?
Whole thing was a setup. He knows that there was going to be an issue if he's walking down the street with a gun on